So if you've been following along with the previous lessons, what you'd end up with is a page like this. So it's looking good, the basics are there, but now what I want to do in this lesson is stylize this page. Again, I'm going to be manipulating the text, maybe some of the links. It's actually quite fun, so I'm just going to go ahead and close that browser, because right in here is my file that I'm going to go ahead and stylize. Again, I'm going to work on this HTML page right here. So I'm going to go into Dreamweaver, and I'll just double click on this HTML file right in here in my Files panel, and here's the page that I now want to stylize. So it's actually quite easy starting out, because all I really need to do is right down in here, again, if I just click anywhere on this page, make sure nothing specific is selected. All I need to do is come to the Properties panel and click Page Properties. Sure enough, I get the opportunity to change the various visual properties of this page. Starting at the top with the appearance, I'm going to go ahead and change the page font. Okay, instead of that default font, I'm going to pick another font. In this case, I'm going to select Arial Helvetica Sans Serif. You might think it's pretty unique that there's a couple different fonts listed that you'd select from. And what's going on here is these are going off of your system fonts. So if you were on a PC, Arial might be the default font it uses. If you're on a Mac, it might be Helvetica. But the thing is you want to define the basic font that your page will use that's on the user's system, the fonts that they have. So with that selected, I'll just select it, and that's going to be the page font. In fact, if I move this out of the way and I just click Apply, you can see that it just does change the font. So again, I'm just going to go down this list. Maybe I'll change the size. And again, I want you to select size and select 14. Might be a little more reasonable. It's going to be 14 pixels, so it's basically like a 14-point type. I'll click Apply, and really just go with what you think is going to look the best. Just make sure it's clear and easy to read. I think black works out pretty well. The background color, I can always change that background color if I want. Maybe I'll change it, to black and click Apply. Obviously, I can't see the text, but I can always change that if I want to. Say, for instance, if I want to load an image into the background, I can do that as well. So here's the thing about images, is anytime you reference an image, you need to make sure that it's in that images folder. Okay, so if I click Browse, and I go to that images folder, I actually want to locate a JPEG that's not in there. So if you're going to use any image, make sure you copy it to that folder, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go out to my Assets folder, into Images, and this background home image right here, this is what I want to be the background. So again, I can go ahead and select it, edit, copy, go to my site, into my images folder right in here, edit, paste, item, and now it's in the correct location. Okay, again, everything in my site is going to be self-contained within this folder. So let me go back to Dreamweaver. And sure enough, with this dialog box still open, notice how I can see that JPEG. So I can locate it, click Choose, and then if I click Apply, we can see that background and we can still see that text come off there pretty well. So my next step is to change the link color. So I'm going to select links, okay? And in the previous lesson, we defined some links, and as you can see, they are blue here. Well, I can always change that color. In fact, I want to change the link color. So I'm going to click that swatch, and now I can go ahead and select whatever color I want. So I'll just pick like let's go with kind of an orange color there for the link color. If I click Apply, you should see it. It's getting kind of tough to read, but I can always fix that. The rollover, so when you roll over that link, with your mouse, it might change to black, for instance. Maybe if it's a visited link, so if you've already clicked on that link and you go back to the page, well, maybe I want to give it another color. In this case, I'll just pick like more of a red. And then active is when you actually click on that link for sort of a split second, you'll see a different color. So let's just, for the sake of this, I'll make it a little brighter, like a green, like that. Okay, and I can even deal with the underline style. So notice how all the text has underlines. I can change that and say, you know what, show underline only on rollover. So there's quite a bit you can do with your links in here. You can really customize them. In fact, if I click apply, sure enough, the underline goes away. So again, that's the links. Let's move on down, and this is the last area we'll cover, is the headings area. And again, look at the size of this font. It's pretty darn large. I want to tone that down some. This happens to be heading 1. So I can tone this down. Let's select 18 pixels for that size. And let's change the color of this as well. So I'll go ahead and click for the color. I'm going to go ahead and select that same sort of orange. On down the line, it's really sort of your opportunity to design this sort of to your liking. I'll select black there. On down the line, let's go 14 here, and I'll select this orange. So again, I kind of have this stacked in order of priority. Usually my heading 1 is going to be larger than my heading 2. Heading 2 is going to be larger than heading 3 on down the line. But that's what I want to go with. I'd say that looks good. Let's click OK, and it applies it. Obviously, I still can't see that. The text isn't really quite working for me. So I want to go ahead and change the color of this content, this background here. I want to change it to a white. In order to change that background to white for this content box, I'm going to select that content box. I'll just click on that border in the upper left-hand corner. And with that box selected, if I take a look at my properties panel, I did change the width earlier and I gave it a specific name, but I can also change the background color. So right in here, sure enough, I want to change the background color to white, and that is much better. The last thing I want to do with this content box is make sure the content box adjusts for the length of the content. So as you can see right here, this word is right on the edge. And what I want to do is I want to control this content box by selecting it again. Again, I've already changed the background color to white. And what I want to do is get rid of this fixed height right here. So I can go ahead and just select those numbers and just click delete. And I'll hit enter to make sure it takes it. And now it extends it for as much content as I have. All right, everything is looking good. This is the fun part. If I go to File, and I'll preview it in a browser. So select whichever browser you have on your machine. I'm going to select Safari. It will ask me to save the changes. So I'll save them. Sure enough, here it is. Everything's stylized. In particular is my links. So if I roll over this one, see how it turns black? Notice how it is already red. That's because it's already been visited, and that's that red color I already predefined. As for this one, I haven't clicked on it yet, but if I click on it, you see that flash of green for a split second, and it will go ahead and open up your default email client as was created in the previous lesson. So what we were able to do quite quickly was stylize this page to something more appealing. So really my next step in the next lesson will be able to stylize this content even more.